Hello, movie lovers.
The force is strong with this one.
How's everybody?
No more adventures. I'm not going that way.
Yeah, well, it's Bob here. It's Friday. I'm going to talk to you about the movies I watched this week. I watched a few. Besides watching the hockey games, baseball games, and whatever else. Anyway, it's movie time. I'm not going to show you the movies. I'm just going to talk to you about them. They're over there. I put some of them back. But anyway, let's see. I watched the movie on TCM, 1945. It's called Danger Signal. Steno, which is probably a lady that works in an office as a typewriter, types. She's taken in by heel. He arrives in the neighborhood and he rents a room in this big house, right? So, he starts taking one of the girls out that lives in this big house, and he starts taking out her sister. But he's a lowlife, right? Now he's supposed to be getting engaged to this girl's sister. Now, this guy, I think he just, takes girls for their money. You know what I mean? The money, those guys. Yeah. But one of the girls starts to look a little bit deeper into this guy. See where he came from, what he's up to, and all that stuff. Anyway, it's a film noir, right? It's from 1945. Stars Faye Emerson and Zachary Scott. And Rosemary DeCamp's in it also. That's not a bad movie. Watch it once, good enough. One of those movies that you don't have to watch again. There's probably going to be a few of them on this video that you don't have to watch again. They're okay to watch once, but, as anything in movies, a lot of movies are, you can watch once and it's good enough. You don't have to watch them again. I'll be talking about a few of those. But anyway, yeah, Danger Signal, film noir from 1945. I gave it a 5. Yeah, big 5. Interesting to watch. I also watched Angels with Dirty Faces, right? With Jimmy Cagney. Humphrey Bogart gets killed in it, of course, right? It's, Jimmy Cagney. Him and his buddy, little guys that are running around stealing stuff in the neighborhood. Jimmy Cagney gets caught, he gets sent to juvenile, and he gets out and he steals the things from other people, gets hooked up with some other guys that are worse, and gets sent to jail, and he takes a rap. He spends 3 years in jail, and he comes out, and when he goes in, he tells Humphrey Bogart, "Don't worry, I'll take 3 years. When I'll get out, I want my money." Yeah, Angel with Dirty Faces. But anyway, I talked about this on another video. Grumpy Old Gentleman on film. Anyway, that gets an 8. 1938, Angel with Dirty Faces. I also watched A Hard Day's Night. Most of you know A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles, 1964. Traveling around, jumping through cars, girls chasing them, and they're doing some songs and stuff. Everybody knows A Hard Day's Night. I gave that a 9. I always give it a 9. Hard Day's Night. If you haven't seen A Hard Day's Night, watch it. Hard Day's Night, yeah, you can watch over and over and over and over again. Same as Angel with Dirty Faces. You can watch that again next week. No problem. All right, okay, and I watched The Fortune Cookie. I watched that on, I have DVD, or it's over there on the table, from 1966, starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Yeah, Jack Lemmon's he's a cameraman, and he's taking film in the football game. Of course, the football player runs him over. He ends up in the hospital, right? And Walter Matthau's the lawyer. Is his brother-in-law, Jack Lemmon's brother-in-law. And he tells Jack Lemmon, stay in bed, right? You got a broken back, you got this, you got that. We're going to sue them for $1 million. We'll sue them. And Jack Lemmon's going, no, he doesn't want to do that. But Walter Matthau goes through with it, right? He's suing everybody, so. It's funny, right? It's a good movie. It's funny. I give it a 7. Yeah, the fortune cookie. What else? Oh yeah, I watched The Art of War, starring Wesley Snipes and Ann Archer, right? And that's from 2000. He's a secret agent. He works for the United Nations, right? As a secret agent guy. Anyway, somebody, frames him for killing somebody, assassinates somebody. And he didn't do it, right? But he tries to find out what's involved with this whole operation. There's something fishy going on here, right? And it has to do with the United Nations and the Chinese, right? They're doing a trade talk. And I got somebody in the Chinese don't want a trade with America. So Wesley Snipes involved. There's a lot of action in it, fighting and kicking and running around, jumping and shooting, regular one of those movies, right? So yeah, it's all right. Nothing wrong with it. I give it a 6. 6. You can watch this one again if you want to, but it's a typical, what do you call it? Typical movie kind of movie. Anyway, yeah, Wesley Snipes, The Art of War, 2000 gets a 6. What else? Oh yeah, I watched these. Now these 3 movies I watched one after another. They were on TCM, and they're Nick Carter, Detective Master. This one's Nick Carter, Master Detective, 1939. 1939. A sleuth, he's private eye, right? Tracks a spy ring after an airplane plans. These spy guys, they work at an airplane factory, right? And they steal the plans for these airplanes that they're making, right? Now there's this airplane that, it's kind of like secret, and somebody steals the plans for it. So Nick Carter gets involved. He has to find out who are the bad guys that are stealing these plans. That's, the idea behind this movie. They're not very long. They're like, 75 minutes or something like that. So they go along at a pretty good clip. And the thing about the same 3 movies, I'll talk about the other 2, but best thing about these 3 movies is an actor by the name of Donald Meek, right? He's a character actor. He's in a lot of movies, Donald Meek. He's a short little guy, right? But he's in it. He plays the part of Bartholomew, the B-man, Bizwax. That's his nickname. But he's the best thing about this. But it stars Walter Pidgeon as Nick Carter, right? So that's pretty good. But like I said, this is another one you don't really have to watch again. You might not want to watch again, but for a first-time watch, it's pretty good. So I give it a 6. It's okay. And the other one was Nick Carter, right? Private eye, detective. It's called The Phantom Raiders, and it's 1940. And Nick Carter and Bartholomew are hired to investigate mysterious cargo ship explosions. The ships that are out in the ocean, right, taking, things back and forth, right? They explode, and somebody's getting the insurance money for these ships that are sinking, right? So he suspects a shady operator and devises a plan to capture him, right? So there's somebody, blowing up these ships, and Nick Carter's setting out to investigate, along with the B-man, Mr. Bizwax, Bartholomew, Donald Meek. He's pretty good. I like Donald Meek in these. And the third one is Spy Master. Yeah, Nick Carter, 1940. Detective is out to smash a spy ring. Walter Pidgeon and Donald Meek. There's a bunch of Germans, right? They're in America, right? And they're, going around, stealing stuff and blowing things up and, doing things to upset America, right? So they're there. They're hiding in different places, and they're having a meeting and stuff like that. So Walter Pidgeon is trying to find out who the main guy is, right? The head man, the guy that's running everything. So he's trying to find out who he is. So yeah, so Donald Meek is in this too, playing Bartholomew. And like I said, there's only been 3 of these movies. Of course, Nick Carter's been around probably since the 1880s, 1886 or something, in one form or another, like magazines, but he's been around a long time. He's probably still going around today somewhere. But Nick Carter, yeah. Who done it? He's a private eye, private detective. So Walter Pigeon and Donald Meek, so they're pretty good. But you watch these movies once. I watched them once. I'll probably never watch them again. If I see them coming on, I'll say, oh, I saw that one. I don't need to see it again. Okay, what else did I watch? Another one, these 1935, Star of Midnight. A lawyer, he's a lawyer. You never see him lawyer in anything, but he's involved in, he likes to find out who done it and things like that, right? So he's more of a detective type of guy, right? Who done it, he tries to find out things. Anyway, lawyers found of solving crimes. Somebody comes to him about a missing girl, right? And he gets involved to trying to find this missing girl. And the person wants them to help look for this girl that went missing, right? So he gets involved in that. Stars William Powell. Yeah, the guy that's in The Thin Man? Well, he's like a thin man in this movie, too. William Powell and Ginger Rogers. Everybody knows Ginger Rogers, right? So, she's in it, too. She's okay. She's quite noticeable in the movie, so she's all right. But in this movie, there's a lot of drinking. Pouring you a drink, having a drink, sitting down, lighting up a cigarette, having a drink, smoking a cigarette, lighting cigarettes, having a drink, all through the movie. There's always time for a drink and having a smoke. Whether in the bar where they drink, have a smoke, when they're at home, right? Having a drink, sitting down and pouring a drink, having a smoke. A lot of these movies are like that back then, especially in the 30s and these kind of movies. Everybody's drinking and smoking. But anyway, that's Star at Midnight, 1935, William Powell and Ginger Rogers. I gave that a 6. And you don't have to watch that one again either, like I said. Seen it once, it's good enough. Alright, what else did I watch? Oh, I watched The Last Samurai. Tom Cruise. Captain in the, U.S. Cavalry back in the 1880s, right? He gets hired to go over to Japan to train the Japan army, right? As in the way the Americans do stuff, right? With the guns and stuff and all that. Anyway, they have a battle with the samurai. Samurai, basically destroys them all, and they kidnap, or shouldn't say kidnap, that's probably not the right word, but anyway, Tom Cruise is a little hurt, or so they take him back to the village. Excuse me. They take him back to the village where, basically where they came from. So he's there and all that, right? But he can't go anywhere because the snow, the mountain passes, the valleys, they're all full of snow. So he has to stay around until next year anyway. But while he's there recuperating, getting better and stuff like that, right? He starts learning their language. He starts learning how to fight the way the samurai do with a sword and stuff like that. So, he likes it kind of thing. So, so he ends up going back a year later when it's time to go back. He gets to go back to town, I guess, where everybody is and stuff like that, right? Everybody, he gets to go back to where all the Japanese high-mucks and, I forget the guy's name now. The king? What do they call the Japan guy? Anyway, he gets to go back there. Anyway, they're supposed to, lay down their swords and, give up the way of the samurai, but no, that doesn't happen. So he goes back to with them. He ends up going back to the village, and of course the Japanese army comes there, right, to have a battle with the samurai. Guns and big guns. It's a good battle, good action scene at the end of the movie. But it's a very well done movie. I've seen it numerous times. I have over the years. Every now and again, it's one of those movies. Yeah, you can watch it again. So that's The Last Samurai. I forget what I gave that. I think I gave it an 8. Did I give it an 8? I think I gave it an 8. Anyway, yeah, The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, 2003. Yeah, very well done movie. Honor. It all has to do with honor. If you don't have honor, you have nothing. No surrender. Honor. Oh yeah, and I watched Doctor Strangelove. How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Loved the Bomb. Peter Sellers, George C. Scott. I think I gave this an 8 too. It's either an 8 or a 9. 8. Yeah, so yeah, what happens when something goes wrong when you push the buttons, right? That's basically what this movie's about, right? They're flying, the airplanes are flying over everywhere, and they're 2 hours away from Russia. And this guy that's in charge, the main guy, what's his name, Sterling Hayden, he's in charge. He goes off a bit. He's a wacko, right? He loses it, right? So he sends a message to the planes, right, to bomb Russia. And then it has to do with Peter Sellers' character. He plays 3 parts, and George C. Scott, and they're all sitting around the big round table, and they're in the war room, and that's hilarious. I really can't tell you too much about it, or I'll spoil it. Most of you has more than likely seen it already, more than likely, but some of you might not have. So I don't really want to give away the ending or anything. On this, what I talk about here, I don't really try to give away endings on too many movies here. I don't want to spoil anything. So that's what I try to do anyway. But yeah, Doctor Strangelove, 1963. Peter Sellers and George C. Scott. I give it an 8 out of 10. If you haven't seen Doctor Strangelove, seek it out and watch it. You'll get a big laugh. It's a comedy. It's serious. In another vein, the way you look at it, you never know what's going to happen in the world, right? Who knows? It's one of those movies like, what if, right? What if something does go wrong, right? What if there is a guy that can sit in a big desk and smoke cigars and pass on an order to somebody up there flying around to bomb the Russians? What's going to happen? What would happen? So yeah, it's a good movie. Well, anyway, that's the movies I watched this week. So hopefully everybody's staying safe. Everybody's wearing their mask, right? And everybody's in good health. So love goes out to everyone. Keep watching those movies. And have a good week. Oh, and there's no Bob and Rick show tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah, right? So that's what's happening. Rick's got something to do tomorrow. So that's it, people. So like I said, have a good weekend. Talk to you next Friday on the movies that Bob watches. All right. Later, people.